are the limitations of green revolution? First, it was concentrated only on few crops and mostly rice and wheat. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Then what was the second limitation? There were some undesirable social effects also, right? The gap between the large farmers and the small farmers increased because since it is a technology, you can see the screen, children. Since it
Yes,
is
ma'am.
okay, since it's a
Yes, ma'am.
technology driven thing, we need to have a large scale production, right? So only the big farmers got profits from it, not the small farmers. So there were some undesirable social effects also, right? What else were the limitations of it? It had a limited cover, I told you. Other than rice and wheat, there were hardly any wheat was there, maize was there, which was covered under green revolution. Rest of the crops were not covered under green revolution. So these were the limitations of green revolution, and therefore there is a need to have another round of green revolution. That is there is a need for second round of green revolution. Why there is a need for second round of green revolution? Because what we expected a growth rate of 4% in the agriculture sector, but we have still now got only 2%, so we are lagging behind there, right? So this low agricultural growth rate, because it is still having 18% share in economy, still we have nearly 47% people working in the agriculture sector. This growth rate of agriculture is affecting our overall economic development, right? So we need to boost up this sector more. Agriculture continues to be a source of livelihood, this I have already told you, and because of this we have a special need to for further development of agriculture, because performance of agriculture keeps on fluctuating. Like 45% of our nation is only covered under irrigation, right? Rest of the 55% is still not covered under irrigation. So those people, those who are not covered under irrigation, still depend on monsoons, right? So there is a lot of fluctuation in agriculture. All this needs to be taken care of, all this needs to be tackled, and therefore there is a need for a second green revolution in our country, right? And what are our areas of concern? If we are going for a second, where should we have more impact? These areas are, we should now promote, we have seen that the chemical fertilizers and pesticides that we use along with the high yielding variety seeds, they have a a negative environmental effect, right? You have learned about pollution, right? It pollutes the water, it pollutes the soil, so after some time it is actually giving and it is harmful for the health of humans also, right? So we need to promote research in organic farming. We should try to use best of the techniques, best combination of the techniques, and increase our productivity, right? Improvement in soil health, improving water management and rainwater harvesting. I've already told you that more than 50% people are still dependent on agriculture. Irrigation facilities are not there. So to tap more sources of water, we should encourage rainwater harvesting in those areas. The rainwater, what is rainwater harvesting? During the monsoons, the water from the rain is collected, and after the monsoon period is over and the dry period comes, that stored water can then be used for various purposes. So rainwater harvesting should be encouraged in such areas, right? Diversifying to high value output. We have concentrated majorly on wheat and rice and some other crops like maize, right? But we have totally neglected pulses. So now is the high time that you should pay attention to other, because only rice, wheat, maize, these make only 20% of agricultural output. Rest 80% is still neglected. Okay, so this should be taken care of. Now reducing dependence on agriculture of our population. Still 47% of our population is involved in agriculture, so that dependence on agriculture should be reduced, shifting to agricultural processing. So from cultivation, shift to processing. When you come into processing, you have a better chances, right? So increase the productivity, reduce the number of people that are still involved, and shift the employment towards processing units, right? So agriculture based industries should be more developed, and easy access to credit on suitable conditions. We have done a lot. The government has opened lot many banks, lot many credit institutions, but we still need more in the low poor areas, in the remote areas, right, where this access is still not there. So people are poor. So to the poor people, we still need to reach out to these poor people. Okay. Now our last segment of this chapter is food security. Okay. What is food security? Why do we require food security? And India, what is the requirement of food security? Right. So I have told you, since independence, before independence also, 70% of our people were involved in agriculture. Till now, 47% of the population is still involved in agriculture, right? So, and our population is ever growing. Your death rate has come down, but your birth rate is still high. So we have a food crisis in India. We have been having food crisis in India. Food crisis means shortage of food. We are not able to sustain it, right? So we are having food crisis since a very long time. During the World War II, we had a sharp rise in food grain prices. Any war happening, your resources are shifted from other production to production of what? Production of what?
Ma'am, arms.
Arms and ammunition, right? So there, that time when your resources are shifted from the production of other goods and services to arms and ammunition, there is always a price hike, because then shortage of other things happen. So in during the World War II, we had a sharp rise in food grain prices. Then in 1943, there was a Bengal famine. It's a famous Bengal famine where 35 lakh people died of starvation. So a severe food crisis was there. There was a severe shortage of rices. Then in during 1947 partition, when we had a partition, the surplus food cultivation areas, that were the West Punjab and Sindh, both of these went to Pakistan. So whatever areas we had, maximum of that food surplus areas went to Pakistan. So again, just after independence, we saw a food crisis. Okay. So government started taking measures starting from the first planning commission only, starting from 1950-51, the first planning only, we had agriculture as the most important subject in our planning. Okay. So we started, and agriculture is related to food security only. So we started having a rationing system. Now what is a ration system? Ration system is a system wherein the government buys the surplus from food grain from those areas which have surplus production. They buy it and then distribute in those areas which have a deficit of food grains. Okay, at a lower cost than the market price. So this is known as a rationing system. We started with the rationing system. We nationalized the wholesale trading of food grains. That means government had an interference in that. Government fixed a minimum support price at which, below which the price for food grain cannot go. So government would buy it and give it to the deficit areas. Food zones for purchase of food grain from surplus area and transfer to deficit area. This is a part of the rationing system. Okay, we did all this. Still, we need a system, a food security system, which should go beyond the management of food supplies, and more things should be included in it. Because the food crisis, although we are self-sufficient, right? I told you, because after the advent of green revolution, we have become self-sufficient in food grain, but still there is a gap between the haves and have-nots. There are still a lot of people below the poverty line who do not get access to their these necessities. Okay, so let's start with what is the meaning of food security. The meaning of food security is, it is the ability to ensure on a long time basis that the food system provides the entire population access to enough food for an active and healthy life. Okay, or in other ways you can say that it is ensuring that all people at all times have both physical and economic access to basic food that they need. This is a definition that is given by the Food and Agricultural Organization. That means food security is all the people in all the strata of life should have access to healthy food, and they should be able to procure that food throughout their life. Okay, healthy nutrition food, and they should have that much money that throughout the year they can buy that much food. That is the meaning of food security. That means no person should ever go hungry. Okay, in lay terms, if we say, no person should ever go hungry, and it means good nutritious food, not just about any amount, right? Good nutritious food. So that is the meaning of food security clear? Children, is the meaning of food
Yes,
security
ma'am.
clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so there are some major essential components of food security. That means what exactly is meant by food security. Melvin, Ronak, switch on your videos. Ria is having difficulty. Both of you switch on your videos. First is availability of sufficient and good quality food. I have told you throughout the year they should be able to get healthy food, good quality food, and sufficient food, right? Nobody should go hungry. Enough purchasing power with people to acquire food that they need. That means income and food prices should be within their limit, whatever the income level of whatever strata of people, right? Whether they are poor people, whether they are rich people, they should be able to buy food throughout the year, right? Timely, reliable, and nutritionally adequate supply of food on long term basis. That means even if there is a natural calamity like drought, like some region had an earthquake, any natural calamity, the access to food should not suffer. We should not have shortage of food. There is a crop failure in one of the regions, it should not mean that people in that region will not have access to food. That means food surplus from other regions should always be available to them, right? Maintaining buffer stock to take care of natural calamities resulting in temporary shortage. This I explained you. So a nation should have that much stock of food grain in case of any calamity hitting. People do not go out of food grain supply, right? Like in times like these, this is a pandemic happening, yes or no? Everything has been hit. So, and these times,
Yes,
poor
ma'am.
people should not suffer. They should still have access to food, right? And how that is possible? If the government has a stock, buffer stock. What government has done? The government has done this only. It has taken out the supply and started giving it to the poor people. Okay, so in a dynamic and developing economy, food security undergoes change with stages of development. Now the points that I have given you is a normal, this is a very narrow concept of food security. We are in a dynamic economy which is changing every day. So they have given a stage wise food security changes which should happen as the economy develops. Okay, so what are these stages that we are going to learn now? The first stage should be where cereal should be provided to all for survival. The first stage, right? With development you have these different stages. As your level of development increases, your stages should also increase. So in the second stage, with cereals, pulses should also be available to the general people. Third stage comes when cereals, pulses, milk and milk products, they are available to all the people, right? Even the poor people, they are able to buy this, whatever their daily requirement is. And the final stage comes when cereal, pulses, milk, milk products, vegetables and fruits, fish, eggs and meat, all are available to all people. Okay, that means there is enough stock of this. Even if we are hit by a calamity, we have enough stock कि we can sustain the entire population of the nation. Is it clear to all of you? Any doubts still here, children?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Right. So the next would be now, who are those people who are known as food insecure people? That means who has this problem? Obviously, the worst affected will be the poorest of the poor. That is those who are landless laborers or have very little land. That the cultivation, the landless labor, they have to give majority of their production to the landlord. Those who have very little land for themselves, they have that much growth only. It is very difficult for them to even self sustain themselves. They do not have anything extra or surplus which they can sell in the market and earn income from it, right? So who comes in these? The traditional artisans, those people who are in the these embroidery services and these pottery services, right? Brass makers and all, the traditional services of cobblers and barblers. These are those people, the petty self-employed workers, destitutes and beggars. These are those people who are below the poverty line, right? And these people, for them it is very difficult to have access to nutritional food. Okay, is it clear to all of you? Then seasonal activities and wages. Why they suffer this much? Because farming is a seasonal activity. This we have already learned. Farming is a seasonal activity, right? Depending on monsoon, it is not the throughout the year thing. Plus wages, the laborers who work in this field, in the agriculture field, their wages are very low. Okay, so other than these, the scheduled castes, the scheduled tribes, and some sections of the other backward classes, they have also very little land, or they have very low productivity of land because they do not have money to invest in capital intensive techniques. So these are the people who are food insecure, who actually suffer from food insecurity. Okay, other than these, if there has been a natural disaster in some place, those people are the ones who also come under this category. They try to then migrate to other areas to find work so that they can buy food. Okay, and a large proportion of pregnant and nursing mothers and children under the 5 years of age, because malnutrition is also prevalent. So those people who are in these strata, they have a very high degree of malnutrition in them, especially children under the age of 5 years. So these are the people who come under the category of food insecure. To them, we are supposed to give food security, right? So which,
Ma'am,
yes, yes,
ma'am, what is SC?
scheduled caste. You have
Okay.
learned the caste system, right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes, they are generally considered below the poverty line, right? They are very poor people who live in backward areas, and OBCs are other backward classes. Some are other backward classes also who are landless or who have very little property. They all come under this food insecure people, right? And which are the areas which have food insecurities? They are those areas which are economically backward, right? Have you heard the name Bimaru states? Bimaru states, have you heard?
No, ma'am.
No,
No,
Bimaru state,
ma'am.
there's a term known as Bimaru states, right? Like Bihar, uh, MP, some places of MP, then Orissa, Jharkhand. These states come under these, Rajasthan. These
Ma'am,
are
because their economy is not good.
yes, because of their economical backwardness. They have resources. It is not that they don't have resources. The resources have not been tapped properly. They do not have the proper infrastructure, right? So these states are known as Bimaru states. They are economically backward states. So these are those states which come under this food insecure areas. Okay, then tribal and remote areas where infrastructure is not there, access is very difficult. Regions which are more prone to natural disasters, that means droughts are very common there, or maybe regions of northeast where earthquakes are very common. Okay, some natural or floods are very common in Bengal. Floods are very common, Assam and Bengal, right? So these are the areas which are food insecure areas. Okay, examples I have given in UP, eastern and southeastern parts of UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, West Bengal, Chhattisgarh, parts of MP, and parts of Maharashtra. You must be hearing drought has hit Maharashtra for like 2-3 years, right? Continuously. So these are natural calamities, and these areas are which have a very high shortage of food grains. So these are all considered as food insecure areas. Okay, what is the relationship between hunger and food insecurity? Obviously, hunger is related to food. Yes or no? If you do not get adequate amount of food, you go hungry, right? Hunger brings about poverty. So eliminating current hunger and reducing the risk of future hunger is the main role of food security, right? The person who is going hungry, that means he does not have the money to buy food, right? And if he does not have the money to buy the basic necessity of food, he is a very poor person. Yes or no? Right? So the main focus of food security is to eliminate current hunger, means today's hunger, and reducing the risk of future hunger. That means in future also that person does not go hungry. That much economic power he should have, that he is able to maintain his healthy life. Okay, there are two aspects of hunger. One is chronic and one is seasonal, right? Chronic is, it is a persistent throughout the year thing, wherein the quality and quantity of food is inadequate, right? You are not getting proper quality food also, and what you require for your sustenance, you are getting less than that. That means quality and quantity both are lower, right? So there is an inability to buy food even for their own survival, right? Seasonal hunger is, which we find normally in the agriculture sector because of the seasonal occupation, right? In the times when they are occupied, when they are employed, they have the money to buy because they are getting wages, right, to buy food. But in those times when the harvest system is over and the fields are empty, there is no work for 2-3 months, they are not working, they are not getting paid. When they are not getting paid, they are going hungry. Okay, in urban areas, due to casual work of laborers, that means they are not able to get employment some of the times. For example, during rain, the construction workers do not get any employment because during rains the construction stops, right? Especially if you remember last year, the way rains had come in Pune, we had leave in the schools also. Yes, for nearly a week we had this problem that there was water everywhere, we were not able to go. So in those times, during the rainy season, there is no work for the construction workers because construction is stopped at that time. Okay, so if you are, they are daily wage laborers, that means daily they get earn their wages for their daily work, they get money. So if they are not working, they do not earn money, and if they don't earn money, they do not have money to buy food. Okay, is this clear? Clear to all of you, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Ronak. What is it? Ronak, Melvin, Priya, to okay, Shivam. All of you switch off your. Melvin, where are you? You're not supposed to switch off your video, no? In class? Right. So, what are the various food security measures that have been adopted by the Indian government? Now, we are going to learn about that. Okay. So, our strategy since the starting or since independence has been self-sufficiency in food grain. It was our aim. It was the aim of the government because we have severe food crisis. We have seen so many food crises. It was the aim that we have to first attain self-sufficiency in food grain. Okay, so the various steps that were adopted can be categorized into two. First is increasing the food supply, and second is managing the food that we have. Okay, increase the supply, and then what stock you have to manage it properly. Understood? So one by one we are going to learn about these, what steps we have taken in both these areas. Okay, so first is increasing the food supply, right? How did we manage to increase the food supply? For this we have already learned so many steps that have been taken, included the green revolution. Yes or no? We have learned about all that so that we can increase the supply of food in our country. So green revolution is a very important part of this measure that was adopted by the government, right? So the institutional measures that were adopted were various land reforms were brought in. We have already learned about them. Yes or no? During the green revolution, just after independence, government had brought in the land ceilings and land reforms, cooperative farming. All this was brought in by the government, right? Lot of institutional credit agencies were opened. That also we have learned. Yes or no? NABARD was a part of it. Yes? Yes,
Yes,
children?
ma'am.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
So, government has tried to build up a strong marketing structure so that fair price to farmers is given, which the minimum support price is one of these, whereas the government took measures so that the farmers do not suffer losses. Okay, they government set up the prices, government set up the institutions, brought the institutions to rural areas so that they get credit facilities at a lower rate of interest, and they do not have to borrow money from the money lenders, because money lenders in rural areas they charge a very high rate of interest. Okay, so government took all these measures to increase the supply of food grain. Then technological improvements were brought in by the government. Lot of irrigation facilities was provided, high yielding seeds were provided as part of the green revolutions, and chemical fertilizers also were provided at a subsidized rate. This all we have done in the green revolution. So green revolution is a part of this, wherein the government wanted to attain self-sufficiency in production of good grain. Okay, then the third is National Food Security Mission. This was a mission which was adopted by the Department of Agriculture and Cooperation under the Ministry of Agriculture, right? This is a centrally sponsored scheme, the National Food Security Mission, and it was adopted in 2007 and 8, first for the Rabi crop. Okay, and then it was extended. So let's see what is this National Food Security Mission. So it was a resolution of the National Development Council that we have to increase the production of rice, wheat and pulses, right, by 10, 8 and 2 million tons respectively. That means the rice production should increase by 10 million tons, the wheat production should increase by 8 million tons, and pulses should increase by 2 million tons. So the National Development Council, this council took a resolution that we have to do this. Okay, so this increase was through area expansion and productivity enhancement. That means a lot of technology was brought in, people were given incentives, that means a lower credit rate, provision of all the chemical fertilizers, along with that package scheme which we talked about in the green revolution. All this was done under this scheme, and this scheme made a significant impact. There was an increase in production of rice from 92.2 million tons and wheat to 80.6 million tons, right? So 312 districts come under this scheme. Of out 17 states, 312 districts come under this scheme, right? So because of this, we have attained self-sufficiency in food grain. Okay, then second is food management. There are three basic objectives of food management, right? Procurement of food grain from farmers at remunerative prices, distribution of food grain, and maintenance of food buffer. Now, what is the meaning of this? This means those areas which have a surplus of food grain, that means after using for themselves, they are still left with lot of stock of food grain. The government buys food grain from those sectors and distributes it to those places which are vulnerable, right? Or they have a lack of food grain. So for this, government also maintains buffer stock, that means extra stock of food grain, so that if there is a problem, there is a shortage of food grain due to any calamity or due to any reason, the government can release these stocks so that the prices of food grain do not go up, right? If there is a less supply in the market, the prices go up of a thing. It's a very natural thing, yes, because there is a less supply. So if there is a point in time wherein the supply reduces, government releases this buffer stock so that the price can be maintained in the economy. Is it clear to all of you, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, children, do one thing today. Let's finish off this. If this meeting gets over, join again, right? Is it clear to all of you?
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, we'll finish this off today so that tomorrow we can, day after we have only revision.
We still
Okay?
have 8 minutes, ma'am.
Yeah, we have, but we are left with 5-6 slides. Okay. Then instruments. What are the instruments that are used for food management? First is minimum support price. This I have already told you. Government gives a minimum support price to the farmers. This is already issued before the sowing season, right? That means if rice is about to be sowed, the government already declares the minimum support price, that this is the price at which the government is going to buy rice, okay? And that they consider taking into account all the factor costs that the farmer has to incur, so that the farmer does not go in loss. So the price of food grain will not go below that minimum support price, okay? And if the farmer is not able to sell the food, government is always ready to buy it, right? And second is, this is done through the Food Corporation of India. The Food Corporation of India is the nodal agency which undertakes the procurement, distribution and storage of food. That means this is the agency which buys the food from the surplus area, this is the agency which distributes the food to the deficit area, and this is the agency which helps in storing or keeping the buffer stock, okay? So this is done with the help of this nodal agency, that is the Food Corporation of India, right? So this food security has two components. One is buffer stock, second is the public distribution system. Now buffer stock, children, I have already explained to you. Do you want me to explain it further? I have explained to you what is MSP, that is the minimum support price, right? And this minimum support price is announced on the recommendation of Agriculture Cost and Price Commission. This we have already done in Green Revolution. So do you need me to explain buffer stock again?
No,
Or
ma'am.
the minimum support price? The major thing in the buffer stock is the minimum support price, okay? The government procures wheat and rice according to the minimum support price that it has declared, okay? Why do you require a buffer stock? I have told you, so that things can be bought from the surplus areas and given to the deficit area, plus if there is a calamity in the country, you do not have a shortage of food grain. For this only you require a buffer stock, okay? And there is one term in this which is known as issue price. This issue price is when the food grain from the buffer stock is provided to the deficit areas at a lower cost by the government, right? Government does not give it at the prevalent market price, government gives it at a lower market price. This price is known as issue price, the low price at which the buffer stock is made available to the deficit areas. Is it clear to you, children? Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Or am
Yes,
I going
ma'am.
fast? Clear now?
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, so this resolves the problem of food shortage in those deficit areas, okay? Is it clear? So why do you require a buffer stock is clear to all of you, and this buffer stock is given to the areas at MSP, that is your minimum support price, okay? Then, but we have a problem in buffer stock. When we keep a stock of food grains, it is a perishable item, yes or no? Yes. So when we
Yes.
are keeping a stock of a perishable item, one, though storage is high maintenance, second is there is always a chance of waste of those food grain. Agar food grain are not stocked properly, then they are a wastage, they perish, ठीक है, खराब हो जाते हैं. So which is undesirable. And there is a high cost of storage because they have to be stored properly. गीले नहीं होने चाहिए, right? There should be no pests that come and eat the stock. So all these things which carry a high cost, right? Plus every year, if you have paid attention, the MSP, that is the minimum support price, has been increasing every year, which is a maintenance cost for government, because government is paying for that money. Government only declares the minimum support price, yes or no? If the farmer is not able to sell his produce, the government buys it at the MSP. And if the MSP is increasing every year, that means it is a maintenance cost for the government, right? Then it is a increasing cost, transportation cost, because buying from the surplus area and taking it to the storage involves transportation. So this transportation cost has also increased, okay? So it has been recommended that the MSP, that is a minimum support price, should be freezed for a few years. What is the meaning of freezed for a few years?
Ma'am, stopped for a freeze.
Yes,
For
it
a
should
few
not
years.
be increased for some time. It should be maintained at a certain level because it is anyways high. MSP is anyways high, which is creating a problem for the government, right? Now, what is a public distribution system? Now, public distribution system, I'm going to explain to you just like that. It is a distribution system, the same under which the government buys the surplus stock and distribute it among the poor families. Okay. For this, the most important way to do is the ration shops, right? Rationing. These ration shops are regulated shops through which rice, sugar, and kerosene oil is given to the poor families at a low price. Okay, is it clear to you? Then the market price, it is provided to these poor families at a lower price. So rice, food grain, that is rice and wheat, sugar and kerosene oil for cooking, these are given to these poor farmers. Okay, there is a fixed amount which each ration card holder can buy from these shops. Okay, and these ration cards, they are of three types, right? First is Antyodaya card, which is for the poorest of the poor, right? Those totally living in marginal conditions, it is for those people. BPL cards are those for those who are below the poverty line. BPL means below the poverty line. Okay, and APL cards are for all the other people. So these two people, the Antyodaya card holders and the BPL card holders, right? These can buy these food grains from the ration shop at a lower price than what is there in the market, right? And it has a fixed quantity, that this much, maybe 5 kgs or maybe 10 kg of this you can buy from a ration shop. Is it clear to all of you? What is a rationing this thing? What is a ration
Yes,
card?
ma'am.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, and the last topic we have, which is a less than 1 minute, it is not much, you can read it also. The role of Food Corporation of India, because all these rationing, all these procurement, storage, buffer stock, all this happens through the Food Corporation of India. It is a very important nodal agency in